Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
There we go. Oh my God, that's
Great
awesome.
for a sound check. I love
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Oh my goodness. Hi, Lisa. How are you
I'm
today?
fabulous. How are you doing, Michaela?
Doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you. I appreciate having some time today to share with you. And,
Yes.
this was my idea because having spent time with you receiving a tarot card reading, I kept trying to think of ways to say thank you and to really give it a proper testimonial, um, effectively,
You're
right?
right.
Because, like I said to you, what am I going to do? Tell everyone, oh my gosh, I suddenly nap when I need to nap, sleep better, and managing my stress differently, because it all sounds impossible,
Right.
right?
No, I know.
But I am here to tell you, friends, that Lisa makes it possible. And I want to talk about that. But can you tell us a little? And, this is your platform and space, so don't let me take it all over. But what is this magic that you do? And I don't want to even say magic.
Oh wait, I can't hear you anymore. There. I missed the last
Amen.
piece.
But right, like I don't want to over sensationalize it
Yeah.
as just poof magic,
hmm
right? But it quite feels like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what is it?
Okay. Well, I'll sort of break it down, but I'm going to end up telling you that it is sort of, in a sense,
Yeah.
magic. But it's simply me really listening, really, really listening. Like when I come and sit and do a reading, first of all, it's the cards that I'm using, which I can tell
Mm-hmm.
you a little bit about, and then it's the wisdom in the cards, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's me really listening and connecting and like listening to my own higher guidance. Like the first thing I do before I sit and have a reading with somebody, I really go inside and I say, okay, please just guide me. Please tell me what it is I need to say. Now, each image has like a basis,
Mm-hmm.
right, of certain ideas and spiritual principles that they're talking about. But like as I said to you, that time that we met at that expo, I read, for example, I read the Hermit card maybe 15 times on that day.
That was my card.
Yep,
Standing
yep,
atop the mountain on one foot, holding my light.
exactly, exactly. Like absolutely in great balance, right? And that the ideas that I read were the same for everybody, but what the way I came to it and the examples that came to me and my way of even explaining it becomes different depending. It really is just what's coming through me. What's the thing? Because the cards are huge. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, these cards, they're actually connected to ancient mystic wisdom. These have roots like 5,000 years ago. These are the ones that the basic ones that I use, which are 22 cards. It's called the Bota Tarot, Builders of the Aditum, which means builders of the sacred. And basically, it is the pictorial blueprint of the spiritual evolution of man. And so every card always, honestly, always has something to do with us, right? But there's always something, one thing more that you're dealing with, or one thing deeper that you're dealing with that
Right.
you need. And the other part of the equation is you. I have read for people, I've been reading for over 2 decades. I have read for people who just didn't want to hear
Mm-hmm.
anything and really just wanted me to prove something. I'm like, I don't read futures. I don't read the past. I'm talking about where you are right now and what's the thing you need to get clarity. What's
Mm-hmm.
the thing you need to move forward in a real peaceful way, like knowing, like reconnecting you to yourself. That's all I'm trying to do, right? It's all I'm trying to do with
Mm-hmm.
me all day, every day is reconnect with myself. All I'm trying to do to help
Right.
anybody else is help them reconnect with themselves. Because when you're reconnected, when you're connected and you're listening to your higher guidance, your true inner wisdom. We all have our own inner wisdom
Mm-hmm.
teacher within us. And when you're connected to that, following that is the only thing you need to do. There's nothing else you need to do. Nothing else is important as that.
Yep.
That is the most basic core level of authenticity, and we're all working to get there, right? We're all
Yep.
working to get there, and there's no end to the road.
And that's the journey,
That is,
right? Like if those cards are the representation of the human experience, then we are going to encounter those cards at various different points, right? But over and over again until we gain, maybe not mastery, that sounds a little finite, but at least awareness
mm-hmm.
and can shift our trajectory. And it's so interesting to talk with you and other people who feel the energy and are willing to connect.
Yes.
And it is a part of my evolution. There's so much to learn from tapping into that connection. But as you talked about the work that you do, it is just the same in my coaching practice. I take the 15 minutes, I buffer it, schedule it before, and I process a review. I meditate on it and think about where we could possibly be right now and how to move beyond. That's all we're doing.
Yes.
Where are you? What did you do last time? What could we do differently? What was a pain point? What were the gain points? And then how do we move on? Because to your point, we're all just trying to connect with ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that is, I mean, for me, that's why I love working with other people who do this kind of work in any pronunciation of it, whether it's through coaching or reading tarot cards or a million other things. When we find our passion, when we find that voice inside that says serve, it comes to the betterment of others. Yes. It truly, truly does. Right. So I want to hop back because you indicated when we met at that expo thing and you said you pulled that card 15 times. I want to give some perspective here.
I didn't pull it. Make sure you it wasn't me.
Okay,
it was
sorry.
Other people, and that is part of the other part of the equation is that the card that you're pulling is the card that you're being directed to pull, right?
Good point.
We often have this idea that our inner wisdom or our higher guidance only comes in big things of like, who am I going to marry or what's going to be my job? But no, it comes in every single moment of every single day, and you have access to it, and it is wanting to help you go forward and pick, the right song and the right burrito. It doesn't matter. It's all part of the beauty of it, right?
I love that. And I thank you, because I think it's so important to recognize that that you're not pulling the card. No. This is not Lisa prescribing some, like you said, some future prediction or some current prediction. This is us pulling out of this life experience, this journey, this deck of cards, where we are in this moment. And it is so grounding. I oftentimes will ask people very simply the question of, in this moment, what makes you really, really happy, really sad, really curious, really angry, and really proud, nice. Right? And from that, we kind of pull overlaps, right? Where there are things that are either stuck, or we could get more of this curious, happy thing if some of the frustration weren't there.
Yeah.
But it's the willingness to show up in that moment. And I think it's so curious that in the moment at the event, it was a women's entrepreneur event. Yeah. 15 probably times you walked women like me through that card. Yeah. What is it about that card and female entrepreneurs, or is there a correlation? Don't let me create one, that we need to talk about?
Well, one of the real basic parts of that particular card is that you get your guidance for what you do and how you make decisions from deep within you, not from outside, not from reading a book, not from like anybody else. It is, how do you turn inside? And that illustration is exactly how do you turn inside. Yep. Like, it is up on the mountaintop. If I can, give me a moment, I can see if I can find it, because I put out the cards because I was thinking that we would have somebody who wants to draw them, but I can maybe find it so people can see it, because I think there are some people here. Here it is. Here's the card. Yep. So here's the card. This is the Hermit card, right? So here you can see he's up very high on a mountain. Mm-hmm. He's holding a light. This is the light of your higher guidance, their true self, your inner wisdom, right? And he is asking himself, what am I doing? What do I do next? And what he needs is absolute grounding. He's got brown shoes. He's got to have a foot in the real world, in the material world is what I mean by the real world. It's like he's not just off flying around thinking in his mind, but he is coming in. He's looking for actually a feeling, a touch from higher guidance, a touch of the inner wisdom. And that inner wisdom is always, always, always shining. It is always there for you. It is always sending you things. Now, you might not be paying attention. You might not. I remember, so one of my teachers, I have pretty many teachers, as you can imagine, I'm constantly, all I do is study this, right? So one of my teachers told this story. He said he met this very heavy man, and this man, they had a conversation about exercise. And he said, well, let me ask you something. Do you ever get the urge? He asked this very heavy man, do you ever get the urge to exercise and to take a walk? He says, well, yeah, I do, but if I ignore it long enough, it goes away. All right. And that's how it is. If you ignore it long enough, it'll go away. It's not going to totally go away because this is a part of you, but you need to build a relationship with that part of you. We all need to build that relationship so that we know when we're getting a message from a higher part of us, or we're just taking our ego to try, oh, I'm sure this is the right thing to do. Because the higher messages, they're going to feel right. They're not going to feel, it's not going to tell you this is good and this is bad. Right. It's not going to do anything that's going to be egotistical for you. It's not going to hurt anybody else. So if you ever get a message of like, oh, I'm supposed to get back at this person, that is not coming from your higher guidance. Your higher guidance doesn't care at all. Right. In fact, higher guidance knows that whatever it is that you want to get back at was set up so that you can, using the word that I will use that word mastery, you can master that situation and decide and actively use your four creative forces, your thoughts, your feelings, your speech, and your actions to, those right? I like it. To come to the next level of perspective, to come to a next level of joy in your life, to be able to let go of whatever that is, because that's just a trigger that's in you that you learned when you were young. You got it programmed into you that if X happens, then I should be mad. And if Y happens, then I should be sad. But what if none of that is true? What if everything is completely the opposite of what we are thinking? Yep. How different your life would be and how different your life is. So anyway, that's the Hermit card. Yeah.
Yeah. We talked a little bit with that about, I was feeling lonely. I have been journeying through this new stage in my life, this new identity. And we talked about how that's an effort to climb up the hill and to get on that hill. But you said you're standing beautifully on that one foot with that brown shoe. And it is lonely, but you're there. You made it to the top. And now you're looking at where to go next. And that is a lonely place because it's a place that's never been before. Yeah. And it was for me, I mean, I wept. I don't know if you recall, but I stood there, I put my hands on your table. I said, I need a minute. Yes. And I wept because I felt so, well, number one, I felt so safe with you. There's so much safety in your energy and in your space. And I can say that both in person and having spent time on the Zoom with you getting my cards read. There's so much safety in that. So let that be part of this testimonial, honestly, if you will. But it just spoke so clearly to me because to your point, it wasn't what you thought I needed. I pulled that card, you listen, and I grew, right? It's you become this conduit when, to your point, when the person participating is vulnerable, is willing, right? You cannot provide an accurate reading to someone who's got the gates up, right? Much like I can't coach the unwilling. I require vulnerability in the same way. I make promises about safety, about my own vulnerability, about my own dedication and integrity, but I require vulnerability. Otherwise, don't waste either of our time, right? Exactly. You can't get anywhere with that. Without it, you just can't. No, and that's true in a coaching relationship, in a tarot card reading, in any exchange in life. If we don't show up fully as ourselves, it's going to cost us and it's going to hurt us. And it is lonely. That is lonely because being fully yourself means that you are not trying to please your boyfriend, your husband, your girlfriend, your whatever. You are actually, and as part of that card actually has to do with relationships and how if you don't connect with what it is that your inner guidance is telling you, what is authentic for yourself, you're not going to be able to show up authentically in a relationship. 100%. And that's
Right? Exactly. It's the exact same thing, but it is a lonely time. It is a lonely feeling, although we're completely not alone. We are completely 100% connected to each other, but
Yes.
that's the illusion, is that we're completely alone at that moment, but you are not. You are actually raising your vibration, going to a higher level and connecting with other people, beings, whatever you would like to call them, who are at this higher level of vibration.
And that was so timely for me, right? I work a lot with people in boundaries, and I sometimes, have to flip the script and pull the work I often have to pull the work to myself. And what I had to really come to accept and understand so that I could continue teaching to go beyond is that being up on that mountain alone required my boundaries, that this is what feels right, this is what feels true, this is what feels safe. Yes. And it's now I give people an opportunity to opt in, and that's lonely because that means I stand alone for a minute. Yes. But I will only allow those things in onto the top of my mountain to share my space, to share my light with people who are opting in. And what does that mean? That means that they're going to respect my desire to feel safe in my space, to show up and be willing and vulnerable, to grow together. And that's very liberating, yeah. Right? Because yes. If I'd rather be lonely yeah. than share all of my precious gift, energy, light, time, space, top of the mountain with people who won't help me stay there. No. Right? It's not yeah. that people that won't give to me, no. because that's not it. It's help me stay there, and I'll help you stay there. Yeah. So it was revelatory, and friends, that was in, I don't know, 4 minutes. Yeah. At the expo.
Yeah, we didn't have much time.
It was phenomenal. And I did have the opportunity to sit with you and get a full reading. And here I come, like, thinking I know what's happening in my head and my heart, and I'm all ready to go. And I'm like, but over Zoom, I'm not sure. This is, are we going to get the energy? And all myths aside, all fears busted. The energy is there. I felt it all. If anyone else has ever had those qualms about getting intimate in this way over a technical platform, I hope we got over that during COVID. But it's very real, because again, it's not about a hand grabbing the card. It's the energy pulling the card out. And my reading was fantastic. I still reference it. It's tabbed over in my notebook, and I go back to it every now and again when some of my imposter syndrome creeps up, because we dealt with that. We talked a lot about being at the top of the mountain. I wanted to explore that further with you. Yeah. We talked about the things that are holding me back, my fears, which is really the F word that people should be hesitant, to discuss. Even for me, the coach who coaches people to deal with and address and move beyond their fears, I still need to do that work.
We all do.
So
there's no end to this. There's no
end. And I had to applaud myself after this and say, great job showing up, because that was good work. Because we have to invest in ourselves, yes, in our time, in any way that will bring us betterment. And I don't mean in face creams and mass market stuff. I mean time. I mean asking great questions to the right people who are going to give you something to think about, some feedback. But then having the agency and the confidence and the perspective to move forward. And I kid you not, I became an incredible napper after our reading. And while that sounds so trite and trivial, perhaps to some people, I refused to let myself rest. And when I say nap, sleep better, etc., you gave me permission to rest. You explicitly said, and I wrote it down, rest when you want to rest. Yeah. And I've heard that before, and I've said that to myself before, but I've never given it space to be a priority. And what happens then? You suck yourself dry. Yes. And it got to the point where I then had to say, why am I freaking napping all the time? Right? And from that came another evolution in understanding a part of myself, because as much as I love to nap, I don't want to have to nap every day. Right? But I still had the permission to rest and the permission to change and grow beyond what was holding me back. So there's no quick blurb of a testimonial that, and I tried to write them, that could have expressed all of this. I really just wanted to say to the world that when you pause and do the work, when you align yourself with the right people, the outcome is powerful, no matter how you get it, right? I say go for the coaching, go for the tarot readings, go for the acupuncture, go for the run, go for the podcast.
Yes.
But invest in yourself, of the time and the energy, because you and I sit here today, evolved women, evolved humans, evolved energy in these bodies, saying that we're still doing the work because we want to keep doing the work for our people.
Yes. And there's really no end to this path. It doesn't matter. Like, there is no, oh, I'm going to get to this place.
I made it.
Then everything's going to be okay. No, because there's constantly, you always are going to have challenges in your life. When you're at a certain level, right? At a certain level, those challenges are going to throw you off balance. And those challenges are going to make, you're going to say, oh my gosh, this is horrible. You're going to come up with all the reasons, and you're going to tell everybody why it's horrible, and build this whole beautiful story of like how you have been wronged. But as you start to bring your energy up to a higher level, that same exact thing could happen. And you'd say, oh, I have to deal with this now. And it will be the same energy as folding a shirt. There we go. All right. I see what it is. I've put it in order. I have not brought myself off balance, because that's the first thing we do.
Correct.
Often is, oh, how can I bring myself off balance? And we're not thinking about it. We would never do that on purpose, right?
Right.
If we had a choice between, do I want to be miserable or do I want to be full of joy? Of course we're going to feel joy, right?
Yep.
But we don't understand, and we're too quick, and we're so well programmed to go right for the misery, right? We are.
Absolutely. Well, you know, we talked about connection earlier, and we are Brene Brown, right? We are hardwired for connection. Why? Because when our brains developed to this point, which is pretty evolutionary along the line, we were still being attacked by tigers, right? So if connection is what keeps us alive, because if we're disconnected, the tiger's going to eat us, right? And if our brains have not, and I'm no doctor or scientist here, but if our brains have not evolved beyond that, our tigers today is all the noise, the media, the expectations, freaking Pinterest, right? All the noise telling us to do, be, act, say, live, succeed, right? But if we're not clear on what that inner voice is saying, do, act, look, behave, succeed is for us, we're going to be off kilter, right? And that's exhausting. That's
completely
freaking exhausting. So that's where taking the time to stop and say, well, what am I doing? Right? To look clearly at where you are right in this moment, and then say, well, where do I actually want to be? It's stepping off the hamster wheel. And I'm here to tell you, like, when we were done with our call, and we did an activity at the end, I was speechless, breathless, verklempt, exhausted. I was like, oh my God. And it just all hit. And I just remember kind of saying, I think I need a few minutes.
I remember.
And I'm like, and it felt so much, but it was so like, I don't want to think about this stuff, but oh, I guess I really need to, right? And that willingness is my result.
Yes,
right.
It is. And
I'm just grateful for it. So I don't even know if we've talked about all the things that we wanted to talk about today.
We could pull a card and finish by having, here's the card for today.
Okay, let's do it. So does anyone in our audience that's watching with us, can I do this?
Yeah.
Is it okay? Is anyone who's watching interested and willing, so we've talked a lot about the willingness, to have a card read right now? It's safe, friends, I promise.
Yeah. There's no
if so, pop in the comments.
Yeah.
If not, think about it.
We'll just pull a card for everybody. It will be the general card for us for today, whatever it is. Because whenever there's a group of people who get together, for whatever reason, there's a reason, right? There is a reason, and there is a sort of a spiritual thing or a spiritual underpinning that they're all working on that's connected. I'll have a card. Okay, so somebody had a card.
Thank you. SRA 891, you are a badass.
really are. Okay, so should I just pick one myself from these, or let me see if I can turn around this camera. No, that turned off the camera. Let me see.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. I had to separate them to try and find the
Okay.
the hermit before. So how do we figure out which one she wants to do? Should I just choose one?
SRA, do you want to?
There are 22 cards. You can you can give me a number and I can go in from the left. How about that? This is how they look right now.
I love it. It's a really pretty table as well. Yeah. Or is that
that's a tablecloth? Yeah.
Nice. All right. I say we pull one on her behalf. She's got 8, 9, and 1 in her handle.
Okay. So.
Oh, wait. Oh, here we go. Okay, 17.
Okay, 17. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I think this is the way to do it.
Yep, and I think that she's pulling on behalf of all of us gathered. So thank you, my dear.
I am going to, let me see if I'm going to turn this back around so I don't have to put it back there, and I can bring it here. So here is the sun. The sun, the basic message of this card is the wisdom of joy. It's the perfect card for us. It's a perfect card for you too. The wisdom.
Happy dance.
The wisdom of deciding that no matter what happens, and that is no matter what happens, that you are going to remain centered and balanced and in joy, that you are going to discipline your mind so that you do not start thinking of thoughts that bring you away from joy, right? So that you are constantly recognizing when you're telling yourself a life story that makes you into the victim. This is saying we are not victims of anything. Everything happens for a purpose and for a reason. Even you stubbing your toe, even you breaking your leg, even whatever it is that you put at the end of that sentence, it is bringing you back to yourself. It is giving you something that you are either taking forward or something that you are making up from before. So when you think of this shouldn't happen, that shouldn't happen, this shouldn't happen, come back to a balanced place, come back to a centered place, start getting yourself into a place a state that you want to be in. Instead of, for example, if you make your inner life conditioned on what's happening in the outer world, your inner world, your feelings, your inner state is going to go up and down with whatever's happening in the outside world. Instead, this card is telling you, and just by looking at it, it is helping you be able to take hold of your inner state and decide that that is your number one priority. Whatever's happening on the outside, it can happen, it can go A, B, and C, but you on the inside decide whatever's happening, I'm going to keep hold of my own joy. I'm going to keep myself in a centered place. I'm going to watch what I think so that I don't bring myself into a miserable place. And if I find myself going there, I'm going to stop what I'm thinking and find a way to bring joy to myself right then. Bring music, bring meditation, bring dancing, bring anything that's going to get you back, because all of this energy, whatever energy you put out is what you get back. And so when if you aren't focused on bringing your inner state into joy, it's going to bring back to you whatever that other state was. Right. If you're off balance, it's going to bring you more off balance. So that's what this
I love it. And it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's a very happy, and it's so interesting. What's that?
I said it's a very happy card.
Very happy card. It, for me, that rings so true, right? Joy Inc. is my business. And sometimes people are like, oh, that sounds so fun. Joy, how hokey. And I'm like, no. Joy is like hard work.
Yeah.
Right? Like so I look at life as we have happiness and we have suffering, right? And statistically, we spend about half our time in both.
Yeah.
So the odds are not in our favor that we're going to be happy all the time or suffering all the time. But what we know is that in the middle, there's this awareness of peace, this joy, right? This contentment, knowing that we are okay, that we are enough, despite the happiness, despite the suffering, right? Because that stuff is going to happen completely out of my control.
Yeah.
So finding the joy is, and it sounds silly, but this is something I had to practice with, I don't know, maybe in-laws or something, but it became wow, look at that. That's crazy. That's chaos. That's stress. Wow, look at that. That's happy. That's cool. That's good. But it became a place where I could stand and feel safe despite the good and the frustrating that came my way with them.
Yeah.
And it has paved a way. This is the boundary, right? People get to opt in, right? You do you with your chaos, but you can opt in. And that boundary.
Stand back here without mine. Thank you so much.
Right. And I'm just going to keep here on the top of my hill on one foot, looking for my little light, you know? And it's so true, because we think that life is supposed to be balanced, and balance, if something were truly fixed and balanced, it wouldn't be balanced. It would be stationary.
Static. And
static, right?
And
we're always moving. Every step we take, we're out of balance, and then we're in balance. We're out of balance, and then we're in balance.
That's it. That's so true.
And when we're aware of that, damn it, it's joy, right? It's but I get to figure this out. I've been there before. I can take the next step and figure this out. But it's listening to that voice. It's knowing, number one, that there's a voice inside worthy of being listened to.
Yes.
And then continuously telling yourself, it's okay to listen. I wonder what it's saying. What would happen if? Yeah. Imagine if oh wait, I just did.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
And slowly flexing the muscle. So SRA 891, I thank you for pulling that exact card. I needed that today. The sunshine felt good. The idea of the dancing twins, always chaotic and joyful and a little stressful, and hey kids, settle down, but wait, there they go. Right? That is the dance of life. And I am really grateful, Lisa, that I get to dance with you.
Yeah.
This is a lot of fun.
This is so much fun.
Should we do this again?
Yes,
I think
so. I think we should. And I don't know. Should we do it like in 2 weeks? Or do we do this every week? I don't know what to.
We'll meditate on it. We'll ruminate on it. We'll see we'll just answer the call when the call comes. But we'll let everybody know. I am Michaela Birdyshaw. I am a life coach. I have a podcast called And All the Things. It's super fun. So go check that out. And I am at My Joy Coach. And I believe that you are all worthy of finding that voice. And whether, you choose today to work with Lisa, tomorrow to work with me, or with other people, my dears, invest in yourself, of your time and your energy, because I don't know, that's the only way I can think of to get rid of the dark cloud. Absolutely. Right? If it's hanging over, we need more of that sunshine.
Exactly. Everything you do, doesn't matter where and how, as long as it connects with you. That's all that really matters. My name is Lisa Tancredi. I run the Feel Better group. And so, the way I finally have figured out what it is I'm really trying to do is that I am just trying to start a wave of bliss in this world. And start it with me and then bring it out. And then start it with me and then bring it out. And then start it back with me, because if I don't have it, I can't bring it anywhere.
No, and if you don't refuel yourself, you won't have it to give, right? No. And it's that perpetual, to do the work means we have to do work, right? But that's how we get the joy. That's how we get the peace. And man, I love it. I'm grateful for the work that you do.
Oh, thank you.
And I look forward to doing this again. So
we will definitely do it again. It was a lot of fun. Well, and we'll do more cards and get more people.
And it'll
be really fun.
And share more light.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, SRA 891. Thank you, everybody else who came. Yeah. So nice to have you here and have your time and your energy.
Absolutely. Much love. Lisa, we'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.